So Ross had a party. Wonderful to get to meet him again. I think he was at the shoujo party as well. But I met Ross 3 days in a row, and it was great to just get to hang out with him. I just want to go out on a limb and say that he is one of the friendliest fucking people ever. So I got very drunk at this party, and I think it was again because Numi was there, and she kept refilling my glass, and I was like, fuck it, and I just kept drinking, because I'm easily peer pressured, remember? I'm easily peer pressured, and so I just kept drinking, and unfortunately I did wind up drinking too much. And, but while I was really drunk, there was a good space of time while I was extremely drunk, but I was still just walking around and talking to people. This is the funniest shit. So reminder, I'm already emotionally, welling up from how many amazing people I'm getting to meet. And then I went off, and they had DDR set up in the garden, and I remember being this is before everything went wrong. I remember being really drunk and staring at this monitor while Emiru is shredding this difficult song in DDR. Just absolutely, brrrr, the thing where they hold the back of the chair, And I was just staring, and I was like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on in my life right now? That was the moment where I really sat, and I was just hypnotized, and I really then just started appreciating, what the fuck happened. But yeah, nothing too bad. But I went and sat down in the garden, and I went to go chat to Uki, and suddenly I threw up. And I was so fucking embarrassed. I was so fucking embarrassed because it's a party with all these people who I've looked up to for decades, and then I'm the one who winds up getting peer pressured into drinking too much. Not on Uki. I threw up on the ground next to the garden, and then Ross came over and he was like, "Oh, buddy, it's all right." And then he hosed all of my sick into the bush, and it was really fucking embarrassing. I felt so bad because you never want to be that guy. And I haven't thrown up while drinking in a really long time. I think it's just because I was so caught up in the excitement of everything that whenever someone offered me a drink, I was like, "Way," and I was having a really great time before then. Yeah, no, Uki was doing great. And while I was throwing up, he was stroking my back, and he was like, it's all right. And I was like, and if you've ever thrown up while drunk, you know the experience of how embarrassing it is, because it's a moment where a lot of the alcohol leaves you, you suddenly kind of sober up a bit, and in between vomits, you just kind of go, "Oh my god, guys, I'm so sorry," and then it kind of comes again. So it was really fucking embarrassing. So I passed out for the rest of it. So Ross, being, like I've said a million times, a really, really kind, loving person, he took me to the sofa, and he bundled me up in a load of blankets, and I lay there and I passed out, and everyone came by, and I learned the next day that everyone had started taking selfies with my fucking corpse that was lying there. With my corpse that was just lying there looking snug as a bug in a rug. And apparently all night they were making fun of me for being British, and they were like, "Oh no, oh it appears I have drunken too much. Oh dear," in their fucking shitty British accents. And I was like, ugh. There was one group photo taken, but the one that I have, so BuffPup took this one, who I hung out with a lot, and she actually, I want to shout out BuffPup for being really nice. So she was at this party, and she was the person who, when I woke up the next morning in Ross's guest room, which again, thanks to him so much for letting me stay there, she was the one who messaged me first and asked me if I was okay. And I said, "I'm feeling fine. I just feel like such an idiot." I was like, "Oh, why did I do that?" I was really just fighting fucking demons that next day, because I felt so embarrassed for having been the guy to have done that. But it's fine, because at the end of the day, when you're among adults, they all get that people make mistakes when they drink sometimes. I was very upset. I felt so embarrassed. But I met up with a load of the people who were at that party again another time, and they were all just like, "You all right?" And I was like, "Yeah," and then it was fine. So the one picture that BuffPup took of me was one with Connor posing next to me, and so you'll never see it, but I treasure this picture because I think it's very funny, because these two were being very nice to me, and they were looking after me. There's a picture of me bundled up in this really colorful blanket, snug as a bug in a rug, sleeping soundly, and next to me is Connor with a giant thumbs up going like, ah! And I have that picture, and it's very precious to me, and I will keep it for many years because I just think it looks really funny. So yeah, CDawgVA sat next to me with his thumbs up, like, yeah! And it was really nice.